All right, we're live.
Good evening, America. Welcome to Powers of the Tribe. I'm your big homie, D. Wills. I'm filling in for Dale. I'm here with my buddy Cliff Blodgett. I got a question. For people like immigrants and everything, how do they come over here and get all these benefits without having the paperwork or whatever you might call it to receive it?
That's a good question. That's a common trope. It's a common belief immigrants can get all these different benefits that people from here can't get. There may be some benefits that they can get, but the majority of that is a made-up lie. Basically, that are native to this country aren't excluded from these programs, but what they do is there's a system of exclusion. If you've got a criminal record, you can't be eligible for these programs. So people with a criminal record, they should be the ones that they're trying to help the most, to get them so that they have a decent income and they don't need to be criminals. But instead, what they do is if you got a criminal record, they want to make it so you can't get employed, you can't do anything, you can't get credit, you can't get housing. And so it's punishment is what it is. So they're not trying to help people with a criminal record to get reestablished in society. They're doing the opposite because they want them to go back to jail and back to prison because there's the prison industrial complex. They figured out a way to profit from criminalizing people. So in this country, they basically criminalize poverty. There's all these many ways that they're subjugating and exploiting poverty and criminalizing it. And so somebody that comes from over the border somewhere and they're new here, they're basically not yet being excluded from these programs. There's people that have been here for a while, either they got criminal records or they got debt, and it excludes them from being approved on a lot of these programs because they run these databases. And they say, okay, so you got this or you got that in your past, and therefore you're excluded, and the databases are specifically meant to exclude people. And so the reason why these people that come from overseas somewhere are eligible for these programs is specifically because they don't have any exclusionary like debt or something. They don't have these things that exclude them from these programs. So that's a big part of it.
Hey, so people from different countries can come over here to the United States and get all these different benefits from food stamps to whatever before the American people can do it. And why is that, Cliff?
I think that, just like I say, that there's all these different ways. It's like back in the day, there was something called redlining. Redlining was where they wrote it into the laws or into the regulations for counties and cities and states, where they would have real estate that would say that black people or Native Americans or Hispanic people were excluded, where they could not get a loan to own real estate in different areas, and that they were redlined. So that you had to be white or else you just couldn't get a loan or you couldn't get approval, whatever was required. Or you couldn't rent, they wouldn't lease to you. And then after the Equal Rights Act in the 60s, they were prohibited from redlining. But they figured out ways around it. Then what they would do is say, okay, if we can't redline directly, then we'll pick something that minorities are more apt to be, like a feature that is more apt for minorities, and we'll say that that's the reason why we're excluding people. You can't have, let's say, a criminal record for minor crimes, like misdemeanors. Because of the way the criminal justice is set up, they would target minorities and give them misdemeanor infractions for smoking marijuana and all sorts of stupid stuff that they wouldn't do to a white person. Then minorities would have these infractions. Then they would say, no, it's not skin color. We're going to put in a guideline or whatever where in this neighborhood you can't have these infractions. And so they would say, so it's not skin color. We're not prejudiced. We just don't want people that have had these infractions. It just so happens that those infractions are largely what minorities would incur because of the way that criminal justice was unevenly enforced. So they would keep people out. And that's the same what they're doing now. If you go to the Small Business Administration, there's all these different criteria and databases and all this stuff. And so what they'll do is they use those to exclude people, and then they'll include certain groups that they want. They get all the loans and the other people just don't. They want immigrants to come in with illegals working for them. Because if you got a crew of immigrants with largely illegal workers, they'll do the jobs for pennies on the dollar. If you got somebody that's a black person or Hispanic who's legally here and their crew has all legal Americans, they're going to want equal pay. They're going to want decent pay. And so you can't get them cheap like that. So they're harder to exploit. So it's all about funding people that you could exploit. That's another reason why they tend towards giving certain benefits to illegals, is because they want to entice the illegals to be here so then they could turn around and exploit them.
Years ago, when you would bring up like food stamps, first thing you would say was it was black people, right? And here we are today, 2025, and it's the total opposite. It's like more Hispanic, Asian, or white, whatever, is on something more than black.
And that might have to do with the stigma too. I think that a lot of black people are tired of being looked down on, and so they're like, damn, I'd rather starve to death than go down to the food stamp office, get treated like total crap, have everybody looking down on me. I think a lot of white people just don't give a damn. So they'll go to the food stamp office and they just don't care. I don't think it's the same type of stigmatism. And so same thing with probably Asians and Hispanics.
We run out of time, buddy. You got any final words?
Yeah, this bears more thought. This runs deep and there's a lot to this. So I think we should just keep going with this conversation, because people say, okay, we're past it, we got equal rights and all that, but now we're not past it, because this whole country was based on exploitation. And just because you got the civil rights laws that happened in the 60s that improved things, but that doesn't mean the problem just went away. It just miraculously disappeared. This has been an absolute racist country built on exploitation from day one, and then now suddenly everything's okay. It's just really naive to think that. And if we just say, oh, that's not healthy to think about, we'll just not think about it and it'll just magically go away. We'll do an ostrich maneuver, put our heads in the sand and it won't be there. Nah, this country, its roots are straight up racist.
And hey, I got one more thing. For instance, like if you go to Joe V's, have you heard of Joe V's?
Yeah, okay. It's a discount.
When you go to Joe V's, and no disrespect to nobody, the majority of the people is Hispanic or whatever. And the majority of the people that go up there, some got money, and it's a lot of them got the EBT cards, and they just fill them buggies up, and you sit there behind them like, wow, I wish I'd get all that stuff. But then you sit there and you watch when they go up there to the damn register, and they swipe the card, but you don't have one. And you saying to yourself, how's that? So what do you say?
Yep.
But that's the world we're in right now.
Yeah, that's the world we're in. And so let's make that an episode. That's a damn good episode. Let me pull up some statistics on that, too.
Okay, listen, let me close this out. America, we had a good evening with you. I'm D. Wilson, filling in for Dale, of course. Let us know what you think, and whatever it is, we'll make it happen. Hey, we got to make it pop off, America. Let's go. Have a good evening.
Good evening. And one more thought. If you have any thoughts on this, leave us comments, because this is a deep subject and we're just scratching the surface. So anything that I was saying is just off the top of my head, and this is something that evolves. And so I'll have things that pop in my head, and Dale has things that pop in his head. And then after we pull all the statistics on this and do some AI deep research, we're going to have a lot more to talk about, and our understanding will evolve. The more we know, the more our understanding evolves. It's a stupid person that preconceived ideas, and then when they get new knowledge, they can't flex with the new knowledge, and then they just say, that's my story and I'm sticking to it, with like misguided or prejudiced or screwed up ideas. You got to be flexible, and as new ideas come to you, as you research, and you got to have the initiative and the inquisitiveness to research this stuff. And then the more you look into it, the more you know, and the more knowledgeable you become.
Factuals, power to thrive. America, have a good evening. Hit that subscribe button. Give me 20 subscribers right now. I'm going to watch and see if I get them. Have a good evening.
Evening.